I hope this is loud enough. If not, if we can raise it to the maximum volume. I don't want you to sleep. Because I'm going to tell you something. I think we're all going to fail. Because I have 10 minutes to explain the cloud to you. So there's no way we're going to achieve this, okay? So let's just agree to fail very gracefully. We good? And if nothing, you're going to get entertained for 10 minutes. So what's the worst thing that can happen? I promise that much. Okay. Let me tell you, the charter that Chaitra asked me was, can you explain a little bit of what is the difference in the cloud components to build a solution? I said, Chaitra, I don't do that. And I do talks about cloud probably 2 to 5 times a week. And I said, I don't do that. Because you really need to be serious about understanding a platform if you're going to answer that question. And I'm technical, so I love my -6 font diagrams. Chaitra forced me to put a couple on the screen for you in a minute. But I said, I think this whole thing is only successful if you, the person across, see yourself being successful using it. So you see, if I come here or you go to your customer and you convey an idea and they don't see themselves being successful doing that, it's not going to happen. No matter if it's cheaper, better, more efficient. So what I'll do is I'll go very fast into components, but I'll go way slower into envisioning success together. And that is the key of cloud. So, Dana, I think I was supposed to introduce you. No? Should I just continue? Then I guess my slides are not up. Well, you know what? We'll do the dance anyways. So, whether they put the slides up or not, I'm going to still tell you the same 4 components. There are 4 problems that happen in the cloud when you start to build an architecture that baffle everybody. And the first one is most people don't understand that the way to build a good cloud solution is to understand networking. And this is not what anybody would say to you until they've done it and gotten hurt by it. In fact, my speech to any company that has an IT area is, if you haven't trained your networking people on hybrid cloud and how to build a hybrid cloud access solution, you don't understand security. And therefore, you don't understand compliance. And therefore, you don't understand access. Because it is not just setting a big pipe, forgetting about it, putting the engineers on the side and blaming them when it's down. You see where I'm going? This is about isolation, it's about joint APIs, it is about segmentation, segregation, all the words that in a solution, not in a social setting, but in a solution, provide the idea of what's going to be exclusive, what is the right set of communication between the different components, and how do you actually drive them. So if I show you the actual design, and I skipped all the sessions, so I'll come back to it, it would basically say networking is the key, literally the key, to providing a secure, well-managed, and compliant in any way you want, whether it be compliancy for industry, whether it be for commerce, or whether it be for security, to provide a good solution. Now I'm going to go back to the flow that I had, because I want to show you something before that. There's been a very interesting shift in technology. And the shift happens not because technology has been cool. The biggest mistake that I think we're all making is thinking that AI was born yesterday. AI has existed since 1950, but we couldn't do much with the algorithms. So if I show you the first click is, and choose any one of those, DNA sequencing cost $3 billion in the year 2000. It cost $49.99 last week. So I don't think DNA sequencing, I mean, sure, it got cheaper, it got better, it got whatever. The truth is, you have access to it, so it's accessible, right? And it has the right price. So that's 99% of what's happening to technology today. It's becoming accessible, and it has the right price tag to it. Second thing is, data is growing like crazy, but all of us are asking ourselves the same question. And by the way, if you don't understand data, let me explain it to you. If I move with my cell phone with the GPS turned off, and I move 100 meters, sorry, I'm from Mexico, I count things differently. You know what happens? I connect to a different cell phone tower and I generate data. So now you understood data? Data is not what you think, as in, oh, it's a system, somebody puts it in. It's almost anything we do nowadays generate data. So here's an interesting stat. Less than 20% of that data worldwide is secure, less than 1% is analyzed. What do we find value in is an incredibly powerful opportunity for all of us in this room. And third, all of this notion of IoT is creating more opportunities for us to detect what's the right point of data for telemetry, and stay with me, for command and control. You understand the difference, right? One is I just want to gather the data to gather insights. The other one is I actually want to control and make immediate changes upon the data. So that's the opportunity that IoT presents. So that the last one says what I started with, if you don't understand that security has changed magnanimously, let me use the most and strongest adjective you know, that's what's happening to security. And let me tell you why. Yesterday's model, and still 90% of the industry thinks of it this way, I'm in a fortress, okay? That assumes I can protect everybody inside, right? Wrong. It could not be more wrong. There is no way, and just look at the news, that any company will not be breached. If you start like that, you don't think of a fortress, you think the polar opposite. You think of a city. And the city says, you know what? I'm always going to have crime. I'm always going to have fire. So the question is how fast I detect it, which depends how many police and et cetera, right? Fire, et cetera, you put in, and how much I can react to it once I detect it. So now you saw these 4 pillars that said access, right? It said data. It said how we're generating and thinking of this generation of data, and security. Now I've given you some opportunities. Let me tell you something. This wave is not going to get any simpler. This wave is not going to get any easier. You either start riding it or you're going to live it anyways. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything aggressive. I'm not saying you're going to drown in it. I'm just trying to say you're not going to control this. None of us are. So it's more of do I find the opportunities in it or not? And then, of course, we have now the building blocks, which I was talking about, and I already went through half of the slides, so I'll just go very fast. I don't want you to read it. I want you to read 3 things. One thing is, you can't just think of a big pipe to the cloud and that's it. There are many ways to access. And if you don't understand that it is not a set and forget big pipe and that's it, and that there's VPN, that there is an MPLS router to router connection, that there are hubs and spokes, whether it be for PaaS services or IaaS services, but that all of this falls down into what I said at the beginning. It is the foundation, sorry, I went too fast. It is the foundation for how to connect, protect, deliver, and monitor. So you don't have this right, God bless you. You're going to come back to it and destroy your solution 5 times. Second, just as busy a slide as this one, okay? So for those of you in the back, I feel for you. Your fault, you could have, there's seats right here, not my fault. Compute has changed just as much. And people don't seem to think so. They're like, oh, it's a virtual machine, right? Oh my God. Yeah, okay, let's go back to basics. It starts with virtual machines have 30,000 types now. They can be purpose-built like SAP or graphics. They could be specific like for storage or memory usage. They can be for ease of use like containers. And if you're talking about containers, the agility that containers bring, okay, and the growth is tremendous. And then you start thinking about stuff like, oh, do I need a management system? And do I go into Kubernetes? Or do I go into Docker? Or do I want to lock myself into one technology or another? Or I want to be more independent? All this is going to show you the last piece of compute, which is I want maybe less control, less customization, or more flexibility. I just want a web server. So chill out. I don't care what virtual machine it is. I don't care if it's a container. I just want a web server, okay? So how about this? You give me a web server, it works, I'm done. And so that's called PaaS. So I just try to show you in 30 seconds, compute just got a lot more complex. Now it got a lot more options. And you can deploy them without having to buy 30,000 types of hardware and software and make it work for yourself. And that, you know what that means? Because I ran data centers for over 10 years. That means 7 months just to set it up. By the time I realize it, put the budget together, purchase it, deploy it, and have it working 7 months later. This is the same afternoon. We today can deploy a template, and we do it for some of the largest studios in Hollywood, where we can deploy 3,000 servers in a template to do rendering of movies so it can happen tomorrow. When in the world would you think of that? Do you think that happened because a huge company came in? No, no, no. That's a great solution architect. So with that idea of a great solution architect, I want to close in this thought with data. And I want to tell you that the biggest mistake that I've seen in the last probably 5 years is people continue to use the word database and miss the whole opportunity that we're talking about a data estate, not database. So let me show you the data estate in a bigger, grander view. It starts with what's the source of the data? Because nowadays there's a lot more sources than an operator putting stuff inside of a console. Fair? So what's the source of the data? The next question is how are you going to transport the data and how you're going to ingest it? Because you could be using a simple connection, you could be using a sink, you could be using an IoT stream, you could be using a hub, you could be using a queue. If you know all these words or not, it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to tell you is the world got a lot more complex, gave you a lot more options, people who know how to use this. And it doesn't have to be you, it could be somebody you hire, somebody you work with, somebody you partner with. But people who know how to use this know how to make this easier, faster, and better. And so the next click says you're going to have different solutions. Maybe a data warehouse where you're going to ingest data and manipulate it on the data factory. Maybe you're going to have some data bricks for in-memory manipulation of massive data. Maybe you're going to have a data lake where you don't just reside with one type of data, but you dump all types of data, and then on extraction, you manipulate it correctly. Maybe you do some analytics. More importantly, maybe you do some machine learning or visualization. You know what? It's not a black and white world anymore. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to tell you something simple. The amount of options that we have nowadays to build an incredibly rich solution has just amplified by 1,000. So you trying to say everything looks like an Oracle, SQL, MySQL, whatever databases I did last in college 10 years ago, get off of it. Take a couple of certifications or get a couple of certified people. And so my point is, you got to envision success. So now let me show you the talk I really wanted to give to you guys. There's this lady in Spain that I absolutely am baffled with. She's one of the best solution architects that I ever hired. I started the whole cloud solution architecture for the company for Microsoft about 8 years ago, hired the first 1,900, then 3,500 people. And I always came back to this lady for, what are you doing? What was the last thing you did? So she told me the story, and I'm going to tell it to you in my last 2 minutes. She came to me and she said, you know, I went to Redmond to one of the conferences, to one of the boot camps we were doing. She's a cloud solution architect, as technical as they come and better than most. And so Gisela told me, hey, on my way back, I was going to meet, so on my trip back next Wednesday, I was going to meet with the land services manager for the airline of Spain. If you know the name of this company, God bless you. If you don't, let's be elegant, okay? But I was going to meet with that land services manager. And they lost my luggage. So on my way back, okay, on Saturday, I fly back to home. They lose my luggage. I'm going to meet with the manager responsible for the whole company to manage land services on the Wednesday next. So she put this slide together, but more importantly, she built a demo I'm going to show you in a minute. What she said is, for me, travel is a 5-stage, 6-stage experience. It starts with, not when you're doing business travel, when you're doing personal travel, starts with inspiration. I want to go to Cancun, right? That's inspiring enough. Fair? And then second is, I want to give somebody my credit card. You're doing nothing more than that, just securing a seat and giving somebody your credit card. So that experience can be as horrible or as great as it can be, but it's nothing more than that. Then I want to be mistreated, mishandled, told to strip in public and get into a tuna can and then stay in the tuna can for 10 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours, come out of the tuna can so that they lose all my stuff, and then reflect if I enjoyed the experience. I told you I would entertain you. I don't have too many jokes, so please, take every opportunity you have to laugh at them. So what she did is she built, I'm not kidding, on the Saturday when she came back, she built this demo. Okay, the demo is very simple. It's a bot that connects to cognitive services, so we don't ask you, how do you feel? It's more of a, how do you feel 1 through 10, right? I don't want a number, I just say, how do you feel? Second, it connects to the map, so it knows the location of the person on the phone. So if it's an iPhone or an Android, whatever, it tells you location. CRM, so I know who you are, when was your last flight. IoT, so that I know where your bag is. And last but not least, a dashboard storage and logics, so that I can challenge and see that you are you and not somebody trying to steal the bag of somebody else. So enough of that. Let me show you how this looks. Oh. Basically, if you could help me play the video, and if not, I'll stop connecting here and I'll just tell you the story. It's a video, so just click on it. There you go. So basically, as you can see here, she's connecting from her phone. She's from Spain, so the phone is in Spanish. This is Facebook Messenger. God forbid it's Skype. And you go in and you connect to Microsoft Airlines, and you say hello, and it asks you, how are you? And you write in plain English, because it just detected that you're speaking in English. Remember, this was a phone from Spain in Spanish. And it says, how are you doing? And she says, I'm super mad, you horrible airline, you lost my luggage. Or anything you want, and it gives you a sentiment score. That's the machine learning, that's the AI. But you see, the AI side here, this is the first mistake. You would say, oh, it's an AI app. No, it has a little bit of AI, just enough, okay? And then she goes in and it says, hey, you lost my baggage. And she said, and the airline says, from your last flight? And she says, yes. And says, okay, I got it in Vegas. And she says, I know, I boarded in Vegas, but I'm in Madrid. This doesn't work for me. So you're gonna see how it says, okay, I got in Vegas, I can send it to your hotel in Vegas 25 minutes. It says, no, can do. I'm somewhere else, the address is incorrect. So then it says, okay, can I grab the address from the GPS on your phone? She says, yes. You're gonna see all this as it happens. I'm just giving you the speech on top of the video. As soon as she says current location, we go into the API of the phone. And the phone provides the location. What's cool about this is, after she does that, she's in a shopping center. So there's 11 waypoints in that shopping center, in other words, 11 stores. And so the system asks her, where are you really? And she says, I'm in the nails factory, I'm doing my nails, it's so cool. So then it says, okay, wait to see what happens now with the San Sebastián de los Reyes factory. We get the nail factory thing, and I don't know what, there you go. And as soon as she says that, the interesting part is the system, through the workflow that you just saw, the bot, is going to ask the last question, which is, are you the person that I deliver this back to? As soon as she says yes, we go into multi-factor authentication. This could have been a phone call. In this case, it's going to be a text message. It could have been face. It could have been a fingerprint. In other words, what I'm asking is, and this is compliance now, are you you? Do I know that I'm not delivering this to somebody who's stealing the bag from you? And as soon as she says yes, she has to put in the code that she gets. You see, she's getting the code right now. And then essentially it says, okay, fantastic that you are you. We will deliver it in X amount of time. More importantly, here's a barcode for a drink next time you fly in our wonderful airline. Thank you very much. Let me explain to you what happened with this story. She did not go in with PowerPoint. She did not go in with a speech. She just told the manager of land services of this airline, can I show you a video and tell you that you just lost my bag, so I'd appreciate if you would return it. We not only got the deal, and we expanded the contract, and we landed this system for them. Nobody else had to do anything else to land it. So let me explain. It's all about you knowing how to envision success with the person across the board. Because you know what? All the complexity I showed you, that's why people hire you. So you can solve the complexity for them, whether it be on this space or other. The solution has to be in the language of the person across from you. And so the first book is a book I was honored to co-author of 40 stories like this. The second was an enterprise architecture book, so it's all technical. My advice to you is every customer you meet, look at the journey that they provide to their customers, see the touch points, and see where you can make a difference. It's as simple as that. Once you do that, you'll be super successful. I'm not only honored to be here, I'm honored to work, report, and hire amazing women. I was raised by one. Don't get me choked up. And I'll tell you something. We need to make the difference across all our ecosystem, across every business deal, across every business interaction, but also every social interaction. So for that, I'm not only honored to be here, I thank you for being here. So have an amazing Saturday, and I hope that we meet very soon.